This race is hard. It's super hard.
Yes.
It goes on a bunch of trails that a lot of people don't get to race or use very often. And as Chipper mentioned, it's basically 7,000 feet of climbing, 3 aid stations all over kind of Northern Marin County, which is kind of nuts that you're doing a 31-mile ultra and you basically cross the street once.
Yeah. And it's like within the first quarter mile of the race.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. And so this race is super hard. And again, it demands a lot of respect.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boys, a SwimRun podcast. I'm Chip.
And I'm Chris, and this is episode 273 of the show. We have our first race report of the season. This past weekend, Chipper and I did what I dare we could say our local race, which is
in our backyard.
Which was the Big Alta 50K. Now, this is a trail run, so not our usual race report, but we thought it'd be an interesting idea to, I guess for like Chipper, maybe the last 3 years, certainly for our Attila cycles, we would do like a big day, usually a 50K, just because Northern California, we're kind of blessed. We could do one every weekend. Definitely. If we so chose. Yeah. But yeah, so we've been doing this every few years, and this one we thought it'd be interesting to share with people. Well, why are we doing this? Why did our coaches tell us these were good ideas? What we try to get out of it, and how we use it to basically jumpstart our SwimRun season.
Yeah, so a little bit, yeah. And then, dive in a little bit to the race, but we won't give you a K by K breakdown for 50 of them.
Well, we can do that right now. It was hilly as fuck.
Yeah. Hills,
up or down. Up or down.
For sure. And yeah, I think where to start of like, this sort of idea of these kind of bigger days. I always remember during triathlon, we would do, for some reason, we kind of always would do this thing in January, February, where we would do like a century ride. It would be like, hey, Saturday, like mid-January, we have no business doing this. We're not fit enough, but let's just bust 100 miles out on the bike. Yeah. And I always remember feeling, blasted, obviously. But like the weeks after that and the rides after that, I definitely noticed a noticeable step up in my fitness level from these big days. And I think that's sort of what we're trying to translate to big days on the feet, whether it be a 50K. So we did that. That was part of our Attila training for both years, training cycles. And now we thought we'd do it again.
Yeah, right. So we did it again this year. And just to put a pin in what you're saying, Chipper, like I hadn't thought about it, how we used to have these sort of crazy Januaries, or weather be terrible, Northern California terrible. But
60.
But it was kind of like, if you don't cancel the night before, you definitely can't cancel in the morning. You just have to show up and do the ride. And it's the type of thing where, like it would be a big day, but it would kind of calibrate everything that came after that, because you're like, all right, well, I can do a 6-hour ride. No, it's not about if I can ride my bike for 6 hours. Yeah. It's about, okay, like now let's get to work. So I think similarly for SwimRun, again, there aren't that many 50K swim runs, certainly not in the early part of the year, but we found it like we would do these kind of bigger builds, these non-negotiable runs where it doesn't matter the conditions, we'd be out there just using it as ways to harden ourselves, but then also have a big day just to kind of know that you have that in you. Yeah,
it's like a good confidence builder. And for a point of comparison, last year, I know you were really on a trail kick. You had multiple 50Ks on the books and registered. You did this race last year. I did not do it last year. And when it came time for Attila Whistler, I actually felt like I was didn't have the endurance that I really was wanting in the later, in the last kind of hour, 60, 90 minutes of the race, where it felt like I think where you had a little bit more in the tank.
Well, even Bellingham.
So I was sold on it this year.
Yeah, like even Bellingham, like that was your first race of the year.
Right, yeah.
And I had done 2 really hilly, tough 50Ks kind of gearing up for my ultimate DNF at the rut. But so I was feeling like I was in kind of in a racy, sort of like a lot of confidence kind of building, big character, basically huge character runs kind of stuff. Yeah, so I think this year we decided, so I was like, I'm doing this race again. I'm going to try to have a streak going. This year might not have been the greatest idea to actually do it, but hey, it is what it is. Some good friends came into town. Concho Boy himself, John Branderhorst, former guest of the show. He was there. Another friend from our old tri club, Michael Strickland. So we ended up doing it, No Man Left Behind, the three of us, including Michael's wife for a long period, which was, I mean, she's a beast. And Chipper, you were much fitter, and you initially were planning on running it with a friend of yours. And I think pretty early on, I'm really happy you did this, but you just kind of went on your way.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, smash cut back to end of whenever Casco Bay was, I was bum knee. I was coming back from injury, and I didn't really have my sights set on this race as like a thing, but I, you know, working with Coach Liz and really trying to not go crazy and do the right things and, you know, build back better or stronger or whatever the kind of saying is, that is what I took to the approach. But I was feeling the fitness was coming along, and I was like having really, really good sessions and speed sessions and hit it hard on the hills. And I was like feeling, you know, hey, I haven't felt this good in a while.
And in many ways,
it was great.
In many ways, this was kind of like the first test, right? You've been doing all this work, been going to the gym, you've been doing all this stuff, and it's okay, here's the chance to express my fitness in essentially a controlled environment. There's aid stations, you know, you're close to home, you have self-service. It's not like you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and these are good 5+ hours, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours on the legs continually. Great opportunity to test fueling.
Yep.
Great opportunity to test like on course nutrition and how that mixes in with your fueling, pacing. You know, there's just a lot of great things that you can do when you have 5 or 6 hours out in nature.
Seriously. And I think to that point, Chipper, I think one thing that's worth talking about is kind of like, well, what were our plans? Because we each had separate plans going in. Okay, this is what I'm going to try to do nutrition wise.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to try to do pace wise. This is what I'm going to try to do hydration and making sure I'm getting fluids in wise. And I don't know about you, but for me, it was about, okay, like, here's the plan. Let's execute it as long as possible. See how it goes. Like, I was trying to get 90 grams per hour, which I basically had 2. So my plan was I was essentially had 3 caffeine gels to take when I felt like it was advantageous.
I had 3 as well, yeah.
And I've been pretty good. So basically, you know, on the downhill, I would take it so it would kick in when I was on the uphill kind of stuff and like doing like that. But I had 2 90 precision fuel and hydration gels. Then I had a 300 flow gel, which I was saving for the second half. And then I had like a bunch of gels and aid station food and stuff like that. But the plan was to, according with my coach Mario, was like, okay, realistic all day pace. What's all day pace? And
like a zone 2 endurance pace.
Which I thought for that course, for me, it's like around 12 minute, which is...
Can't even really, I mean, if you're not going up, you're going down on this course.
I mean, it's painful to say, but being realistic, that's where I'm at right now, which is 12-minute miles averaging. And, you know, I think that was also a part of it is just, okay, being smart, right? Here's an opportunity, again, in a controlled environment to just try not to be an idiot, try to follow the plan, try to, you know, quiet whatever voice tells you that you shouldn't take a gel when you know you should, or you're just going to blow by the aid station without doing anything or whatever, you know, or, oh, I feel a little thing, but then you don't put like Vaseline on it. And then, you know, like all these little things that you end up looking back and being like, oh man, if I would only done X, Y, and Z, if you can be super present, it's an opportunity to just try to be on your game. Yeah,
definitely. And where I was coming from, what I was trying to accomplish was really the fueling piece. And I wanted to sort of see, I mean, this course, 50K, 7,000 feet of elevation gain, which is like 2,500 meters.
Yeah, something like that.
Something around there, like a significant run. And I was like, you know, I felt feeling good, but I want to see kind of, I'm, you know, not going to destroy this course or anything.
You still have to be smart.
I'm going to be out here, you know, at least the best day ever would have been probably a 5:30 for me or something, like 5 to 6 hours, like really, really good day. Could be 7 would be also a good day because this course is a beast. But my approach I was taking was like, no matter what the outcome of the race, didn't care too much about. I'm not going to win. Whatever. It's going to be.
The guy who won incidentally did it in 3 hours and 29 minutes.
Like, I thought it was like 3:17. It's gross.
Maybe.
Just a gross. Average so pace fast. Like sub 7 on. Just I don't even know how it's possible. Freak.
It's crazy.
Regardless of the outcome, an amazing day in the bank of the miles for, you know, we want to have a really good race in Catalina, and this honestly couldn't think of a better prep than for Catalina. And that's what in my head, I was like, this is going to be such great money in the bank. And the bank is the Bank of Catalina Island for Catalina, the Royal Bank of Catalina Island. And that's how I was kind of approaching it. And then the fueling, because that is something I know we just released the Andy Blow episode, but it has categorically changed how we're able to perform at these races by being so on top of our fueling. And I was pushing 90 to 100 grams in some of my longer runs per hour. So I wanted to see, could I do that on this race?
So let's get into it, because I mean, afterwards you showed me the picture of all the nutrition you took, which I'm like, man, you didn't drop any of that stuff out at aid station.
Well, so my new thing that I've been doing on my races is stashing all my trash in my running vest and then lay it out after, and then take a picture and then count all the calories after.
So much though.
It was a lot, and I had a drop bag even. Yeah, so I had a lot of it, and it was. So I had 580 grams of carbs or something.
Nice. In 6 hours?
In 6 hours.
5 hours and 50 minutes.
Yeah,
or
just under 6 hours. So right around the 90, it was like 91, 92, 200 milligrams of caffeine with the caffeine gels, plus 2 Coca-Colas. So however much is in those, I got saved by the Coca-Colas, I'll be honest. And then, hey, the Adidas shoes, test those out. You know, you give that a
you basically were like SwimRun spec from the ankles down.
Yeah. And, we usually, I think if it was just you and I, we just would have ran it together. But because you had John and Strickland come through, I was like, oh, Chris has, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, I was also just fine. I was also just fine doing it by myself too.
I wasn't going to let you do it by yourself.
I ran basically the entire time with poles, just to kind of protect from re-injuring my lower back and stuff. So I was trying to be really upright. So there's a lot of things I was trying to handle. By the end, dude, my abs were sore from just like trying to be upright the whole time. But yeah, I think if you had to score yourself on your nutrition, what would you give?
I would probably give myself a solid B to B plus on that.
How about a hydration? I saw from that post photo that you took like hella tabs.
So I took one entire package of the PFH tabs, which is like, it was a lot of sodium
or something.
It was a lot of sodium. I felt like my veins like pulsating.
Oh my God.
The package does not recommend over a certain amount. I definitely exceeded that. I don't know if Andy would recommend that or not, but I did, like, when I took that divided by the amount of water I had, it was like 1,000 milligrams per, it was like I was using the pH 1,000, basically. But yeah, I literally had to watch I set a timer on my watch. It goes off 20 minutes, bang a gel, pop a tab, take some water. Every 20 minutes, just boom, 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 boom. Pretty much like clockwork on that. And there was a couple times where I was like a little bit like, okay, I'm kind of hitting, I've been pounding gels for 4 or 5 hours now. And the timer went off. I'm like, fuck it. Boom, just right down the hatch, baby. Right down the hatch. And had the PF 90s, those still and I had a lot of variety as well. The PF 90s, it's just something, I'm just like, this is it. This is the good stuff.
Well, that's also
very neutral. Like, it just tastes.
Yeah, I mean, that's also what we race with, right?
Yeah.
So insofar as like you want to prepare yourself for what you're going to race with. So one thing I did, I tried their Flow Gel, which is kind of their more watery. It comes in like a giant. A friend of the show, Chris, he told us he went on some huge trail run. And he just brought this giant like 300 milligrams of carbs like in one thing. It was crazy, but because we were testing it and it was like the consistency of it was just a little too thick to get it through the nozzle. Yeah. So what I experimented with was just putting 3/4 that and then 1/4 like just water, just mixing it up, which makes it much
more viscous.
Less viscous. So it can get through the thing. So by the time I felt like gelled out, it was great because I just moved to the Flow Gel and I was just kind of like, just taking a big old squeeze off of that. And it just had a little bit different consistency. So it wasn't as, still palatable.
Nice.
A little pro tip, I always bring ginger chews. So I had
John
one at
likes
one
those too.
point, just like anytime your stomach starts getting a little queasy, you don't think you can hold anything down, have a ginger chew. Just kind of cleanses your palate and can, if you're nauseous, it can take care of that.
So the Flow Gel and PFH has been doing a lot. They're supporting athletes that are running the Western States 100, not just running, winning and podium on the Western States. And the Flow Gel seems to be the big unlock for these racers. That Hayden Hawks, I think, is one of their guys that they sponsor that does really well. So if you haven't tried the Flow Gel, I've also experimented with it as well. And I think maybe I'll try this water trick because similar to you, like it was a little less thick than a regular gel, but not as sort of watery as I was kind of thinking it might be.
Yeah. And I think, one thing I was thinking during this race was kind of bringing it back to SwimRun, whether the Flow Gel, and sorry if this is like super in the weeds, people.
That's what we do here.
I guess I'm sorry, not sorry situation, is whether the Flow Gel is actually a viable application for SwimRun because it takes a lot of space. Yeah, you can get it down, but it's, you should be able to take a gel. You should be able to train yourself to take a gel and not have this, I guess it makes more sense in cycling and running maybe, or longer distance stuff where you're not trying to be amphibious and try to keep it minimal and not just have a ton of stuff. I don't know. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I'd want to test it on a longer, 2 or 3 hour swim run and see how it goes, which we certainly will and can do. can and will do, I should say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so your nutrition, you were working with those things. How did you feel like you engaged with the aid station stuff? Because that's something that I felt like, especially at Utila, we really were like, oh, we have all of what we need on board and just kind of not really eat too much of the aid station, which what I felt kind of came back to bite a little bit because we're like, oh, well, we've been eating gels and now it's like we only have aid station to rely off of.
Yeah.
How did you sort of interact with the aid station stuff?
Excuse me. Sorry. Well, I actually tried to do something different. So again, talking with Mario, he was like, just be patient, just all day pace.
Yeah.
No need to rush anything. So I really try to embody that at aid stations where typically, I mean, we've done enough races together where, I'm not trying to spend any time at aid stations. I'm just like, get whatever you need.
He moves you right along.
Keep moving forward. It's kind of like,
I'm sitting there grazing. Let's go, Chipper.
Come on.
Hold on. There's M&Ms over here.
I'm like, let's go. So I tried to do the opposite. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my time. I'm going to see what the offerings are. I'm going to make sure I'm properly topped off, always topping off the water. Like, even if I had like maybe one full flask, I was like, well, let me top it off because, in this race in particular, there's only 3 aid stations for a 50K. They're like 8 miles apart. And there was like a little bonus aid station, which was lovely.
Choice.
They had like beer and stuff.
Yeah.
It was and Coke, which is very nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think I ate a lot of like chips just because for ultra runs.
Like mixing it up. I also felt like this is something
that I Coke at the last aid station too.
The Coke is where it's at. I did take this from SwimRun. Like when you hit an aid station at a SwimRun, it's like a mandatory thing. You got to get the water and like you have to take on stuff there.
Yeah.
And I was, similar to, hey, there's a swim coming up. Start your transition early. Oh, I see an aid station. They got the cowbells. You hear people cheering. Boom, bust my waters out, finish it down, and be ready to go when I approach the aid station. Water, boom, fill it up, trying to be quick. Previously, I probably would have strolled in, be like, oh, hey, everyone. And you then start taking my bottles on my vest and, kind of drug my feet a little bit there, but it was a much more expedient process.
Even though I wasn't there, you're still like sort of the
but I was doing it on my own. I was doing it on my own accord at this time.
Love it.
But yeah, I mean, the race, I think, went off. The weather was amazing.
It was a good day. It was overcast for most of the day.
Herbert Crable from SwimRun NC, the race director, came out as well, and we got to hang. Before the race, we got there way too early because it literally took us 10 minutes to drive to this thing. So we were chatting with Herbert for an hour.
You have to do the ultra that's a 5-minute drive from your house.
You have to. So it was great to hang out with Herbert. He brought us gifts. Or a gift. We'll showcase this later.
Yeah, it was great to see him. Yeah, so this race, as we mentioned, happened in sort of Northern Marin County, which is really trail heaven. And these trails in particular, I don't think they're as well traveled. I mean, I spent a lot of time on these trails, and for years it'd be like I see one other person, I'm like, hey, look at that madman. You know, it's like another lunatic is out here. You know, I would take Chipper out there. We certainly done a lot of training, but when they announced this race 2 years ago now, because it's the second edition, all of a sudden there's more people exploring these trails and kind of out there, which is always super cool to have more people just kind of use the trail system. So I know the race director, this guy Dylan Bowman, who's a former, maybe still a pro ultra runner. He's co-founder of a Free Trail.
Yep.
They have podcasts and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, super cool dude. So I want to support his race. This race is hard. It's super hard. It goes on a bunch of trails that a lot of people don't get to race or use very often. And as Chipper mentioned, it's basically 7,000 feet of climbing, 3 aid stations all over kind of Northern Marin County, which is kind of nuts that you're doing a 31 mile ultra and you basically cross the street once.
Yeah. And it's like within the first quarter mile of the race.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. And so this race is super hard. And again, it demands a lot of respect. And again, Chipper, you're feeling well. So I think from a race report perspective, any high points, low points, any section that you thought you were like crushing it or something?
It started out and I probably went out a little bit too fast, but I felt like I would literally with my hand when I felt like, oh, like this is feeling really good, or there's the 680 trail on this race. It's just so, you just cruising and you're like, this is so nice. I literally would take my hand and I'd be like, whoa, slow down. Like just kind of like pull it back a little bit. Relax.
You're pulling the e-brake on yourself.
It's okay. You're going to be out here for 4 more hours. Just relax, pull it back a little bit. So I was kind of doing this to try to, but yeah, the first climb I was, in my head, I was like, hey, I don't need to go up into like zone 4 threshold very early. Try to limit that early on. There's gonna be plenty of time for that. But we did kind of, we naturally sort of separated, which I think
we started together, and I think the first halfway through the first climb, we were already like kind of kicking back a little bit. And honestly, the best thing I would have probably told you to go at some point if you hung out with us too much longer, because I wanted you to have your day. Yeah, but that basically the race starts at this community center. You cross the street, get on the trail, maybe about a mile down or 3/4 of a mile down, you start your first climb, which is, basically you go up to the ridge.
1,500 feet or something like that.
Yeah, you go up to the ridge, you went on the ridge, you drop down, you climb up the other ridge, you go across to the next ridge, you go down, then you go back up the ridge, down the ridge on the other side, another ridge.
The first 8 miles I thought were really good. I had done a lot of those trails before. I was like, hey, I'm feeling good. I wasn't, looking at time or pay or any of that stuff, just like going, make sure I'm fueling. My buddy and his kid came out, so that was great to see them. And I haven't been down to this area. This is the one area I didn't. So you like bomb down to kind of like Fairfax area, and then you like come out, and I was like, oh, okay, things are getting serious.
Right. It's real now.
It's legit. I'm like this. I would say probably the hardest climb, maybe.
Yeah.
Like in terms of the steepness of the grade.
And I would say it's the most similar to that Run 3 in Catalina.
The Trans Catalina Trail or whatever.
Mm-hmm. You just go up, and then you get over. And then I think the difference is once you get on the top, this is Loma Alta. Once you get on the other side, it's kind of more gradual going down the valley to the next ridge.
So I hiked a lot of that, but I think previously I would have been. One thing I did want to do is not just, hey, it's a hill, I'm just going to put it in hiking mode the whole way up. Mm-hmm. Let me get some jogs in here and kind of like, nudge it up a little bit. So I was trying to work that in. Sarah, a friend of the show, is running with her husband who's over 60 years old. Dusted me.
It's a beast.
Dusted me. I'm not even joking. Destroyed me out there. Way to go, Ferg. And traded a little bit of miles with him, but he just started old man speed on me.
Yeah.
But I was going, but yeah. And then it kind of got back to the familiar course that I knew. So I kind of knew what to expect. Mm-hmm. The switchbacky kind of work your way up. And, I think, and maybe, I don't want to say a low point where I was like, oh, whatever. But I mean, that was a time when I'm like, it would have been nice to have a swim 2 miles ago to get off the legs and chill for a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought that at least 4 or 5 times. I'm like, a swim would be great. Get off the legs. Give the legs a rest. That's kind of what I kept thinking.
Well, that's the swim runner in you because, I was doing the same thing. I was joking with John. It's, wouldn't it be cool? We drop down here. There's a lake that we got to swim across. Yeah, similar. We took it very chill to the first aid station. I'd done the race before, so I was kind of preparing my folks kind of what was going on. And we started that climb and similar. So I've been doing like a lot of like hill hiking.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly there, I had one low moment where I was like, man, how the mighty have fallen. Because I was just like, it was taking way longer than it would have historically, for lack of a better word. But then, then it's, hey man, this is just where I'm at. This is where I am now. And yeah, my hiking was really good, but similar to you, like I didn't want to just just put it into low gear and just go all the way. So I kind of did, depending on like the steepness. Like the second it leveled off a little bit, I would just take a couple strides or just kind of move a little bit quicker. I was running with poles, so it's kind of easy to just kind of push off a little bit.
Yeah, I like that.
Kind of change your cadence on your pole work. But yeah, the low point for us was once we get down to the last aid station, it kind of became a little bit of a death march.
It got very serious.
It got serious.
It got very serious.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the race gets weird.
I did feel like one more aid station somewhere in between that aid station and the one previous would have been great, because I was empty bottles, and that's when it was like, oh
yeah.
And, we're talking miles 18, you're 30, 40 Ks into this thing.
Yeah. And it's crazy because you go from aid station, you basically go up this huge ridge, which is about, I think, like almost 2,000 feet of climbing just right there. You get on the ridge and you think you're going to go down the other side. But there's these like sneaky, just like shit kicker, knee scraping level steep where you're just like, you're running down, you're finally getting into the grooves. I'm not just kidding. Go up this thing. And there was like 3 or 4 of those.
Then they dump you downhill. And it's so downhill that you're like, I don't even want to run downhill. I want another hill to glow up, because the downhill was so, you were pretty trashed up.
Again,
I assume you were. I was trashed up.
Good Catalina.
It was great Catalina. Great Catalina banking for sure. And these couple of guys brought up like 4 Yeti coolers and some lawn chairs, and were parked up at this like intersection area. Had Miller High Life, Coca-Cola, Pepsi,
water,
snacks, water, everything on ice. I was like, oh, I came up and they're like, you need anything? I'm like, do you have a Coke? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, do you mind? Do you mind? I could really use one. Then when I came back up the other way, I'm like, do you have another Coke? And they're like, yeah, we do. I'm like, thank you.
Yep.
So
yeah, those guys were great. Also, like, not easy to get there.
No.
Not easy to get there.
Those guys put work in. I mean, they probably hiked in a mile at least to get there.
Mile and a half,
like uphill. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, choice location too. Yeah, I agree. I think another aid station would have been great, but awesome finish line vibes. It was a fun race. I think, my buddy John, who came out with his family, his son Nico across the finish line with him.
Yeah,
that was good. Cool. He was like, oh man, do you mind if we like stop so I can pick up Nico? I'm like, for the photo op? Yeah, absolutely, dude.
You need to.
I'm not worried about 10 seconds at this point.
Yeah, 10 seconds on,
take your time, dude.
6-7 hours or whatever. So after that last aid station, I was chatting with them while I was drinking the Coke can, which was the 100-calorie ones, which like is a much more crushable size.
Like the pounders.
Yeah, I'd like much more crushable. Mm-hmm. And that really charged me up, because at that point, it was like 5Ks to go, pretty much.
From the third aid station?
Yeah.
No, you had 10Ks.
No, not the the makeshift one that they had there.
Yep.
And in my head, I was like, if I go, and this is what I told my wife, the secret wife only knows goal. I was like, if I go sub 6, I will be extremely happy with how the day went. And I looked on my watch and I'm like at 5:30. I'm like, I have to go sub 10s on this from miles.
Mostly downhill.
From miles 27 to 30 or 28 to 31. Mostly downhill though. Crushed that thing, and I just sent it downhill, and I did a 9 minute, and then a 9:30, and then I think my last mile was at 8 something, and I was like, yes, on the road.
Awesome.
So I was like I was happy that I had those legs, and I like banking that to the strength workout there.
Sure.
I'm not trying to like brag or anything, but it was good. Like it feels good to like. want to do something with your body, and you could fucking make it happen.
Yeah, no, it's validating because you haven't been doing all the strength work, and certainly that's what strength buys you, right?
Yeah.
It buys you this kind of, extra, makes you more resilient, obviously, but it sort of expands your aperture on kind of what's possible because you have just the strength to kind of decide, okay, I'm just going to go to the well right now, and I don't have to worry about my quads falling off.
I paid for it later.
Sure, of course, but you actually try to empty the tank.
Yeah.
And it was a great little experiment. Just be like, again, no one cares.
No one cares
this little
about me.
goal.
Yeah.
You had this goal, and you're like, let's experiment, see what happens. And man,
and I was like, I wasn't racing anyone's place or anything, but people that had passed me, like going up the hill or whatever, I was like, ooh, I got a couple of them, and I was like, yeah, everyone, I feel like a lot of people do this during the race. It's, I'm racing this person for this next 50 meters kind of thing.
Whatever you need to motivate.
Whatever you need. And I finished and I was feeling good. And then I laid down on the grass, or I hobbled over to the grass area and I sat down.
That was a mistake.
That was a mistake. And immediately my legs, I try to they locked up kind of in like a 90-degree angle. And I was like, oh, the cramp came on and it was like, oh, fuck. Oh, I shouted. People looked at me and I couldn't move. I rolled to the side. I was literally on all fours because I couldn't move because my shit was cramped up so bad. And I was like, I hope this passes soon.
I'm surprised you cramped up with all those freaking salt tabs you took.
Almost OD'd on salt. How could that even happen?
Oh,
but
man.
It did go away. And
well, you know what, dude? Congrats on a great race. And, we actually hadn't talked about this because we knew we were going to do this show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I'm super proud of you. Again, I've been proud of you. You've been doing a lot of work, especially coming back from that knee injury. So it's great to see. And honestly, kind of bringing it back to SwimRun, this is good for the team, dude. I want a confident chipper. I want you to feel like, yeah, let's go, right? And it's just it's good headspace, I think, for an upcoming season, which again, bringing it back to what we mentioned at the beginning, that's why we think, 8 station supported long day, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's a long bike ride or whatever, crew ride or something.
Endurance day.
Some big day. Hopefully it helps you prepare for your race. Like I think this race did for Catalina,
yep.
But I think even that is optional. It's more just, hey, get a big day in the bank, put yourself out there, do some work. And that we think that's something that actually enhances your SwimRun season because you just put in some big reps.
Yeah. And I think actually the fact that it wasn't a SwimRun sort of enabled that a little bit more because, I guess SwimRuns, there's sort of like, this is our sport is SwimRun. So we want to do really well. But at a trail race, it's, just go hang out and run around for a couple hours. It peels it back a little bit.
Yeah, it's not complicated in that sense. Yeah.
Definitely. Sure. And, we did talk about this and since we've been training and doing SwimRuns, I don't feel like I've ever, it's always, I feel like I'm chasing you a little bit in terms of the fitness level. So it's, I feel it's nice to, feel like I can keep up with you a little bit more this season. The fucking old guy over here.
Yeah, the old man. Yeah. Well, I've noticed that as well, and I've I was actually talking to Susan, my wife Susan, about it the other night. How it does feel like okay, your fitness level is great right now, and the way I see it is like, hell yeah, man, that's just good for the team, right?
Yeah, and we did talk about this, and we haven't been able to have as much key sessions together as we normally would like or have done in years past, but we have been getting some runs in, which have been good. But yeah, you talked about this, and I think it's a really good mindset to have if you can get in this place as a team of, hey, I'm not, holding anyone back. It's really, hey, if someone's in a better place, whether that be, hey, this person's going to lead all the swims or lead all the runs, lean into the strengths that you have as a team. That's only going to make your team better. And I think that's kind of that's very much the outlook that I felt from you. And one, it also helps kind of give more confidence to me of, oh yeah, okay, I will step up and I will go and try to lead this. But yeah, I also know Chris is going to ride me hard and put me up wet at Catalina. So
I don't know
Let's
about
go.
that. I don't know
Let's
about
go.
that. I just want to get there healthy. Yeah. But yeah, I think another way of articulating what you said, Chipper, is kind of like, swim running. It's easy to kind of get in the mindset. Well, I don't want to be the weakest link.
Yes.
And certainly you don't want to be the weakest link. I don't want to be, because I don't want to be the thing that holds us back. You don't want to be the thing that holds us back. But kind of like where I've tried to be in this headspace, especially with you getting hurt, then me getting hurt.
Yeah, we've tit for tat.
Yeah, exactly. And then also me racing with Viv was kind of a little bit of an unlock where kind of like what you're saying, it's just, hey, whatever fitness you come to with, we're just like raising the floor of what's possible. And instead of having to be, it's, hey, combined, we're going to be whatever we can be. And it isn't about, oh, you're fitter than me or I'm fitter than you. It's like you're bringing a lot to the table, which helps get us from A to B. Yeah. I'm going to bring everything I have. You bring everything you have. And with that, whatever the outcome is, it's great. It's enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a good bow on this one.
Okay.
I mean, unless we can go for another hour probably. But so I mean, we are 4 weeks from Catalina.
Yeah, it's about a month away. Yep. I'm feeling good for Catalina. There's still a lot more work to do in the pool.
You did a big swim this morning, a big endurance swim. I took a little look-ski at my calendar, my training calendar. I also have some big swims coming up. So time to, I think, turn the dial up on that. But, great job. I know you were coming back from injury as well, and I hope that you feel like you got the sort of confidence boost of, hey, I can make Catalina happen and put a good effort out there, because you gave it a good effort at Big Alta. Very respectable time, certainly.
I don't know about that.
So I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm stoked for Catalina.
Oh, and Herbert came out. Chris finished, then what was it? No joke. 40 minutes later, there was an after party at his house.
Right.
And Chris was on the barbecue.
That was my fault for being super slow. But yeah, we had a little post-race party, which is great.
So Herbert came over because we invited him because, if you're a swim runner, we gotta have you over. And I brought you guys a gift for your studio. And I'm like, well, my studio needs the most love, so I'm taking this gift.
Chipper claimed it
here. Case in point. But Herbert brought this. You need to go to YouTube. This is a SwimRun.
It's like a cast iron
SwimRun sign,
forge.
I guess. Forged. I mean, this thing is 5 pounds, but on the bottom, these are little cutouts of North Carolina.
I mean, did he have that in his carry-on?
I don't know. I'm surprised this must have been a check. I don't think they would let you on a plane with this thing post 9/11.
It was awesome. It was actually great to see Herbert.
It was great. And
stay tuned. We're going to have him on the show in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
It'll be awesome.
And he also...
He had a good day out there.
You could have ran. I'm like, I could not have ran with you. He did like a 5:20 or 5:15 or something. Very solid day.
Respect.
And then he's also sold us on getting a cool drone. So, if you see drone footage, you can tell that's Herbert's influence on us, because that was cool. But yeah, that was the Big Alta 50K race report. If you're anywhere in California, highly recommend checking this race out. The next day, if you're feeling extra beastly, Ferg, Sarah's husband, did the 30K the next day, which, I mean, I woke up in the morning and I'm like, there ain't no way in hell I would be doing a 30K. Especially, I already know what the 30K course looks like, and I'm no thank you.
I mean, the 30K course alone, that's the last big run I did in training. At least 4K, was just doing the 30K.
4K.
4,500 feet. It's beastly.
But anyway,
it's a great race. Check it out. See you at the next swim run. Again, global advice at the end of this is, hey, trying to do a big day before your big day can actually make your big day even bigger.
That was big.
I just totally made that up.
That was right. That was really good. Solid. See you out there.
That's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and leave a rating or review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swim run.
Check out our website, lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z, for swim run resources, including gear guides, tips, how-to videos, and so much more. Make sure to check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boys on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, send us a DM or email us at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swim run and other activities.
Lots of activities.
Lots of activities.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Then a run.
And then a swim.
Then another run.
Then another swim.
Then run some more.
Just keep going.
Let's go.
And then stop at some point because,
And fuel. Don't forget to fuel.
Gotta fuel
of course, yes.